Hello and welcome to the news on NTA International. You can watch this news on Vision TV 247 and other social media platforms displayed on your screen. I am Nancy Godi Angonihu, and on sign language is Taiwo Ozoma. First, the headlines. Preparatory to first anniversary of President Tinubu's administration, a sectoral ministerial press briefing opens with assurances of better days ahead. National Assembly intensifies move to revert Nigeria We Hail Thee as national anthem. Bill passes second reading. And political dynamics hot up in the UK with special focus on migration and taxation ahead July 4 election. Muhammad Idris Deby. Okay, we'll bring you that story. Yeah, the Parliament of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, has elected the first female speaker in the annals of the regional legislative arm. At the second extraordinary session of the 6th legislature in Kano, the new speaker, Memenato Ibrahim, from Togo calls for one regional entity that will speak with one voice. ECOWAS Parliament correspondent Mohammed Rabiu Ali reports. We'll bring you details of this story in our subsequent bulletins. U.S. President Joe Biden is receiving his Kenyan counterpart William Ruto with a diplomacy-heavy state visit and a lavish White House dinner. Reports say the visit comes as the U.S. president seeks to counter geopolitical headwinds across the continent. Comfort Fashion reports.
It is the first state's visit to Washington by an African leader in more than 15 years. The visit is expected to touch on the issues of global peace and security, and notably an upcoming role for Kenya in a mission to restore order to Haiti. The two countries will also issue a joint vision statement on reducing the mounting debts of developing countries and the handicap it represents for African countries trying to grow their economies.
That we are stronger and the world is safer when Kenya and the United States work together.
During the visit, Joe Biden will also formally seek to confer on Kenya the status of major non-NATO ally from the Congress. The label officially confers military and diplomatic privileges on the countries, which is currently 18 around the world, that are so designated, albeit without any formal security guarantees.
By undertaking this state visit, we will have the opportunity to discuss and to have a conversation about building global partnership and leadership around the issues that pose challenges.
Kenya will become the first sub-Saharan African nation on the list. Meanwhile, a first batch of Kenyan police is expected to make the journey to the Haitian capital, Port-au-Prince, this week, despite a fresh court challenge in Nairobi against the development. Comfort Fashion, NTA News.
Now to the story on Muhammad Idris Deby Itno, who has been sworn in as the new democratically elected president of the Chad Republic, promising that the return to constitutional normality will open the way to a better future for the country. President Bola Tinubu was among several African leaders who attended the inauguration of the 7th Chadian president. State House correspondent Musbao Dan Wahab reports.
After being the head of the Transitional Council for more than 3 years, Muhammad Idris Deby Itno is now transiting into a proper democratic leader of Chad. His father, former President Idris Deby Itno, paid the supreme price in action while defending his country against non-state actors in 2021. The young Derby Itno, as head of the transitional government, contested and was declared winner of the May 6 election. And on this occasion, President Bola Tinubu was one of the special guests as Derby took over the affairs of the fifth largest African country before members of the Constitutional Council. Apparently, the chairman of ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Governments values the partnership of one of Nigeria's neighbors in times of insecurity in the Lake Chad Basin. The new Chadian president was also conscious of this as he assured that his country will remain vigilant and united with other countries to confront terrorism around the region. Itno said his priorities will include issues related to socio-economic development, with 70% of public spending to be devoted to improving access to education, water, health, energy, and food security. He also promised to inject a real dose of modernization into agricultural and mining sectors while equally pursuing infrastructural development. With these new spirits, Mohammed Idris Deby Itno, now the youngest president on the continent at 39, will lead the country with a population of about 17 million people for the next 5 years. From N'Djamena, Musbal Nanwahab, NTA News.
A day after Rishi Sunak scheduled election for 4th of July, he and Labour Party leader Keir Starmer kicked off their election campaigns. The two parties are also likely to focus on who can control migration numbers, tax and spending, as well as security. Comfort Fashion has more.
Both party leaders are expected to seize the early initiative by meeting voters and pressing the messages they hope will earn them enough seats in Parliament to form a majority government on July 5. Speaking from Derbyshire, Sunak has admitted that economic stability has returned, and he also confirmed that flight to Rwanda removing migrants who crossed the channel in small boats will not set off before the election.
Migrants. I don't want this country to be the soft touch in Europe. I don't want us to be a magnet for even more people to come here. I don't think that's right for our security. I'm prepared to do what's necessary, even though it's difficult, because I think your security and the security of our borders.
At a rally in Kent, the Labour Party leader, Keir Starmer, on his path said it's time to turn the page and end the chaos.
The time has come and the wait is over. And that means, through the power of our democracy, the voters now get to choose the power of the vote. So a vote for Labour is a vote to stop the chaos.
Explaining why economic stability was the first of his 6 priorities in government, Sir Keir Starmer said Rishi Sunak had not learned the lesson from the tax cuts in Liz Truss's mini-budget. He refers to the government's ambition to abolish national insurance for workers, which is going to cost a reasonable estimate of £46 billion. But the Conservatives have been cleared. They do not expect it to be able to abolish national insurance before at least 2030, when the economy has grown by enough to make it affordable. Were Labour to win the election, Starmer will become Britain's 6th Prime Minister in 8 years, the first time that has happened since 1830s. Comfort, Fashion, NTA News.
At least 9 people, including a child, died after strong wind caused a stage in northern Mexico to collapse during a presidential candidate George Alvarez Maynard's campaign rally. Earlier, Mexico's meteorological service had warned of heavy rain, wind gusts of up to 70 kilometers per hour and possible tornadoes. Comfort Fashion once more reports.
An election rally in northern Mexico descended into tragedy after a gust of wind sent the stage careening into the crowd on Wednesday night and killing at least 9 people, including a child, authorities said. The event was a closing campaign rally for Citizens Movement candidate, Mayor of San Pedro, Garza Garcia, and Lorena Canavati. At least 50 other people were injured in the accident, some seriously, according to Nuevo Leon Governor Samuel Garcia. Candidates for the centrist party at the Senate and local level also participated. The two presidential candidates expressed solidarity with those affected, and main opposition presidential candidates, Xochitl Galvez, offered condolences and prayers to the families of those killed and wished speedy recovery to all the injured. On June 2nd, Mexicans will vote for a new president, as well as members of Congress, several state governors, and local officials. Comfort Fashim, NTA News.
Now, advocates for gender parity in professional spaces are building the capacity of journalists and other media practitioners on gender equality and women empowerment. It is an online course organized by the Italian Radio and Television, RAI, and the African Union of Broadcasting, AUB. The course commenced with a session on international regulatory framework and European initiatives on gender equality. Facilitators shared experiences on progress made in the European community, especially in the media sector, to give women equal opportunity to work, grow, and lead like their male counterparts with legal instruments acting as safeguards for them. The training delved into national experiences in Italy, Georgia, and Cameroon, highlighting the steps taken so far in providing safe work environment for women and giving them points of reference to address gender-based issues like sexual harassment. The session addressed equal pay for women, maternity safeguard plans at the workplace, positive portrayal of women in the media, stereotypes, and encouraged women to take bold steps by getting into professions and practices that seem like exclusive reserve for the men.
Coordinates the EBO member strategies and fosters the exchange of best practices.
As many questions as it possible, because interaction is very important, just to speak about gender equality, about ourselves actually as women, and still
Another important element of the Audiovisual Media Services Directive is its media literacy component, and member states are required.
Life will get better for Nigerians under the leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Another word of encouragement and assurance from the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, as ministerial press briefing commenced ahead of the first anniversary of the current administration. Salihu Gwanara reports.
Presentation of scorecards by the ministers under the Renewed Hope government is a major activity to mark the first year anniversary of the current administration. It is also to amplify the activities of the government in line with the first pillar of the Ministry of Information and National Orientation.
We have already started laying the solid and enduring foundation over the last 12 months. Landmark initiatives like the Consumer Credit Corporation, the Nigerian Education Loan Fund, Presidential Initiative on Compressed Natural Gas, the 200 billion naira Presidential Grant and Loan Scheme, our agriculture and food security efforts, including the launch of a dry season farming and massive fertilizer distribution, the Renewed Hope Infrastructure Development Fund, Renewed Hope Cities and Estates Program, our reform efforts in the electricity sector and in the area of taxes and fiscal policy, and the negotiation for a befitting new national minimum wage. All of this and many more are policies and programs that will directly touch and improve the lives and livelihoods of tens of millions of Nigerians.
The minister used the occasion to relaunch the Nigerian National Web Portal, www.nigeria.gov.ng, as one-stop shop and a gateway to national communication.
This will be the gateway of all the things that you want to know, whether you are in Nigeria or overseas about the government and people of Nigeria.
The day one was witnessed by many, including the special advisor to the president on policy and coordination and head Central Delivery Coordination Unit, Hadiza Bala Osman. In Abuja, Saliu Gwanara, NTA News.
The federal government says it is working on transforming and repositioning the Nigerian youth to thrive and catalyze economic development to reduce youth unemployment rates and increase youths with global markets demand skills. Minister of Youth Development Jamila Ibrahim stated this at the ministerial sectoral briefing to mark the first anniversary of the present administration in Abuja. Olainka Ojo was there.
Tell the story of what we have done so far and to fulfill our pledges and promises.
Even though the Youth Ministry is mandated to formulate, implement, monitor and evaluate policies and programs that promote youth development, wealth creation and youth empowerment, the ultimate goal of empowering young Nigerians is to reach their full potential and contribute positively to the nation's growth and development. And the need to take stock of how Nigerian youths have fared in the last 1 year has become necessary.
We are committed to bridging the gap between potential and opportunity, ensuring that every young Nigerian has tools and support needed to succeed.
With economic growth, job creation, access to capital, inclusivity, as well as strengthening the capacity of the NYSC to empower youth. In agriculture, vocational skills, technology and social inclusion at the heart of government, Minister of Youth Development Jamila Ibrahim noted that the federal government has approved the sum of 110 billion naira capital for startups as well as early growth stage businesses via the restructured Nigerian Youth Investment Fund.
The initial 2024 appropriation is 110 billion for immediate release, and in the coming weeks, disbursements will recommence.
With the presidential initiative on youth clusters in agriculture, manufacturing and ICT, she added that a review and expansion of the national youth policy to include climate change, blue economy, mental health and migration will kick off soon. Olainka Ojo, NTA News.
And this is news on NTA International. It's time for a break. Staying with us on the news. Kano State government has officially announced the return of Sanusi Lamido Sanusi II as the 14th Emir of Kano. This followed the repeal of all the laws that established the 5 emirate councils currently in existence in the state by the State House of Assembly during Thursday's plenary session. Samira Hamisu Shira reports on this and other engagements in the hallowed chamber.
The laws that were repealed are Kano State Emir's Appointment and Deposition Law 2019, Kano State Emirate Council Amendment Bill 2019, and Kano State Emirate Council Amendment Laws of 2020. New bill, Kano State Emirate Council Repeal Bill 2024, that seeks to abrogate all the 5 emirates and offices created in the Principal Law of 2019, is being considered for enactment. Majority Leader Lawal Hussein said the amendment becomes necessary to restore and preserve the traditional values and morals of the historical Kano Emirate, which was haphazardly distorted by the previous administration in the state.
It is necessary, sir, to restore, preserve, and protect the Kano Emirate system as it historically existed and was traditionally recognized for the continued peace, order, stability, and the good governance of Kano State. When these 5 emirate councils are established or are found, there should be other great towns like Kano Metropolitan to avoid migration from the rural areas to the Kano City. But I believe everybody here can bear witness that we have not realized any municipal development as a result of creating these 5 emirates.
After consideration at the Committee of the Whole, Order 7, Rule 6A was suspended to allow for third reading and subsequent passage.
A bill for a law to provide the whole of Kano State Emirate Council Law 2019 for 2025 AH, dated 3 December 2019 for 2021 AH, Kano State Emirates Appointment, Area Appointment and Information Amendment Law 2019-1440 dated 8 May 2019 and the Kano State Emirate Council Amendment Law 2020-1442 dated 14 October 2020 1442 and Kano State Emirate Council Amendment Law 2023-1444 and for the other matters committed herewith are hereby passed.
However, members of the opposition party staged a walkout after the minority whip, Ayuba Labaran Duro of Kabo constituency, raised an observation but was overruled. The House has been adjourned to Friday, the 24th of April 2024, where the House is expected to commence deliberations on a new bill that will make provisions for appointing second-class emirs in the state. From the Kano State House of Assembly, Samira Hamisu Shera, NTA News.
And still with the legislature, Senate has passed for second reading a bill that makes provision for Nigeria to revert to the old national anthem, Nigeria We Hail Thee. In the lead debate, the sponsor of the bill and Senate leader, Senator Opeyemi Bamidele, noted that the old anthem inspires a sense of patriotism in Nigerians. Lawmakers, while making contributions on the bill, acknowledged that the old anthem symbolizes Nigeria's rich cultural heritage and should therefore be utilized for national identity and to promote unity.
The anthem served as regular and constant reminder of our journey as a nation and provoked feelings of nostalgia and fond memories of the country's early years.
The bill has been referred to the Senate Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters for further legislative action. Also, the House of Representatives has expeditiously considered and passed the National Anthem Bill 2024, which prescribes that the country reverts to the old national anthem with the lyrics, Nigeria, we hail thee. The bill passed first, second and third reading on the floor of the House at Thursday's plenary. House Leader Julius Ihombere led the debates for the second reading of the bill, after which the House dissolved to the Committee of the Whole for clause-by-clause consideration of the bill, leading to its eventual passage.
Mr. Speaker, this bill is straightforward. So it seeks to say that as people, as Nigerians, confronting a new, renewed hope, moving forward, tackling the rot, decay, dislocation, and distortions of the past, we should go back to our old national anthem, which gives us that energy, that sense of commitment, sense of dedication, and a desire to move Nigeria forward.
Today, we are taking ourselves back to that old national anthem. Is this very important at this particular juncture in our national life? What value would it add to us as a nation?
People are discussing nanotechnology, Internet of Things. We are still discussing national anthem.
We keep on doing one national anthem and we have not been adhering faithfully to it. For me, there is a need for us to have an alternative.
Those in support of this motion say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
The bill for an act of national anthem of Nigeria for related matters is reading.
Thank you, Clerk. Bill read the third time and pass.
The former national anthem, Nigeria We Hail Thee, was written by Lillian Jean Williams, a Briton who lived in the country in 1960 when Nigeria gained independence. For the people of Akwanga in Nasarawa State, the World Bank's multidimensional and sectoral interventions targeting rural and vulnerable communities through its agroclimatic resilience in semi-arid landscapes, ACRESL, should be sustained and extended beyond its present scope because of its far-reaching positive impact on the people. Charles Alpha reports.
Beyond land restoration and climate-smart investment is agriculture, water,
and the people, putting smiles on the faces and supporting communities through value addition meant more to the people of Akwanga and Fulani communities in Nasarawa State as they roll out the drums while receiving the World Bank and AgriCell team on an implementation support mission to Nasarawa State to assess and ascertain how its projects are cushioning the effect of climate change.
Please join me in ensuring the investor, the World Bank, sees this investment running and affecting people because it's about the beneficiaries and the livelihood of our people.
The World Bank, the government of Nigeria, the government of Nasarawa State, and the project implementation team are ready to support you.
This laudable, beautiful, gigantic, and powerful project improve the livelihood of the benefited communities tremendously.
The project, implemented by the federal government and supervised by the Ministry of Environment, aside restoring degraded lands, has provided solar-powered boreholes, street lights, and modern farming techniques to communities around here. As Akwanga Traditional Council leaders confer on the National Project Coordinator and Tax Team Leader of AgriCell, they are reminded of the need to extend more impactful projects beyond Akwanga and Doma so that more communities can benefit. Charles Alpha, NTA News.
That's the end of the news. Taiwo Ozoma has been on sign language. I'm Nancy Godiangnihu, thanking you for watching.